Almost every online business owner that I speak to dreams of scaling their business to 7 figures or 8 figures, but most of them will end up failing simply because they overcomplicate things. They build dozens of different products, crazy email automations, all these things that essentially waste their time and confuse their customers. So in this video, I'm going to show you that it doesn't need to be that complicated. I'm going to talk you through a concept that we use at my company, Story Learning, to build 7-figure offers that are so simple and so strong that our customers simply can't refuse them. Now, in case you don't know me, my name is Olly Richards. I'm the founder of said business, Story Learning. It's a multi-million-dollar online education business. I'm also a mentor and advisor to other online education business owners, and this is where I see a lot of this confusion happening. So the idea behind creating a $1 million offer is really to simplify everything down to one core offer, one core value proposition. In other words, on the front end of your business, when someone discovers you, you are only offering one thing for sale, not like 20 different things like many people have on their website, one thing. And that offer needs to reflect whatever the core desire or need of your target audience is. It should, your core offer should meet their needs like an oasis in the desert. But how do we go about working out exactly what that is? Well, here's the big question that I ask myself whenever I'm designing a core offer for a business. I ask, what familiar ideas can we borrow from the real world? It's easy to forget that a lot of people are still quite uncomfortable buying stuff online. And so the more that you can relate your online offering to something that they are already familiar with in the real world, the less resistance they're going to have. A lot of business owners really overindulge on their creativity. They create offers that are innovative and disruptive, and that's fine if you're Uber, but for the most part, innovative and disruptive can also mean weird and confusing, and confusion will kill a sale faster than a fart in a fan factory. Real world equals more familiar, and more familiar equals easy to understand. Easy to understand equals less resistance, and less resistance equals an easier sale. Simple, right? Now, as I wrote about in my case study, I took years to learn this stuff, and I made every mistake in the book, which is why I have some conviction around this now. My business, Story Learning, did not become Story Learning for 6 years since I founded it. And that whole time I was messing around with smaller bite-sized offers that were interesting, but not powerful and compelling. There was no overall coherence to what I was offering in the business. If you asked our students about what we did at that time, they would say like, Ollie, yeah, he makes stuff about languages, I guess. But when I finally rebranded and went all in on Story Learning as a concept and a brand and started building out our core offer, which is to learn a language through stories, that's the simple proposition, I asked myself, if someone decided to learn a language out in the real world, what is it exactly that they would expect to find? And the answer is, they would go to a language school. They would look at the courses and they would see something like this, which is the Alliance Française website. It's the cultural institute in France. And what do you see? Well, you see language courses, French courses in different levels. They are 6 weeks in length. They cost about $300, $400 each, and there are classes at specific times of day. What you see here is what most people would expect from a language school. And so that's exactly what I decided to mirror for my courses at Story Learning. The only exception here being that we have self-study courses rather than classes at specific times of day. There are, of course, a million different ways to structure a language curriculum, but I deliberately chose the format that people already understand. Some people might call it a tired old format, but it has the advantage of being easily understood and recognized, which then greases the wheel for a sale online. No messing around, just keeping it really, really simple. But your inspiration from the real world doesn't have to be limited to the design of your core offer. It extends to the way that you sell the core offer too. But real quick, if you're finding this useful in any way, I'd really appreciate it if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. You know the deal. It really helps me out and only takes you a few seconds. So thank you in advance for doing that. Now back to the selling. So a few years ago, we launched a teacher certification program, and this was new territory for me. It was a longer program than usual, it was higher ticket, much higher touch delivery, and I knew that we wouldn't be able to sell this in the same passive digital way that we were used to. So I started thinking about how these things sell in the real world. Now, our certification is positioned essentially as a vocational alternative to a university degree, just way cheaper. So how do universities sell their stuff? So I had a look around on websites, and then of course, what the universities will have is, the first thing you see, download a prospectus. And I said, of course, that's what people want when they're first looking for a big course like this, a prospectus. We don't want to commit, we just want to understand it. And so we started adding prospectuses and course summaries onto our website for the certification. Added these elements to the sales process, slowed everything down, and now prospective students were able to look through the shop window, and we noticed that they were more familiar with the program by the time they got to sales calls. But we didn't stop there. What other ways do schools use to attract students? And I had a light bulb moment when I was talking to a parent at my daughter's school. They said, next term we're going to open days at 3 local schools to see which one we like. And I thought, that's it, open days. I've been to a fair share of those in my life in different places, so why not do this for our certification too? And so now every month our head of teacher training runs an open day where interested students can just turn up, hear a little bit about what goes on and ask questions. Now, the format is a simple webinar, but the open day framing gives people that crucial ingredient, which is familiarity with the real world. And sure enough, we started making a bunch of sales directly off the open day. I shared this recently in a discussion on cohort-based courses in Jay Klaus's community, The Lab, and it struck a chord with people right away because the framing just makes sense. When you're building online, it can be tempting to feel like you're all on your own doing something that's never been done before, but in reality, there's very little out there that's brand new. Look to the real world for inspiration for creating and selling your offers and ask yourself, what would my students find if they went looking on the high street? What steps would they go through to buy? And model that as closely as possible, and Bob's your uncle. Or not. I mean, you can never really be sure, but that's the game we play. But in this video over here, I dive a little deeper into the mechanics of building a 7-figure business that kicks off plenty of profit and leaves you free to enjoy life along the way.